Hi everyone, welcome back for another video. Today we are not in the garden, today we are in the kitchen, if you can see behind me. And I wanted to follow up last week's video with a how I meal prep, following the how I meal plan. So seems like people liked the meal plan video and I hope that was helpful to you. So I thought maybe you would enjoy seeing how I go about prepping, how I organize myself and my time to kind of be as efficient as I can, and just some of the things that I make. So let me know if you like this as well. I would be happy to make it a recurring theme to go with our garden videos and see what happens in the kitchen after food comes out of the garden. So without further ado, this week we are making braised chicken for Angel's lunches. We are restocking our breakfast burrito stash, making some muffins to have on hand for snacks and breakfasts. I show you one of the lunches that I make for myself, reusing some stuff I have left over from last week. And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but let's look at my list. Oh, and just also some veggies that I chop up and how I do things. So I'll talk through that when I get there. But that is the main items that we have on today's list. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, we do the chicken. This has got to go in the oven for 2 to 3 hours or so, depending on how much chicken, the size of the chicken, how your oven is, all of that. So I've already seared off. I think it was 8 chicken thighs. Those are Angel's favorite, so I usually try and use them when I do this. You could do drumsticks as well if you wanted. I've done that in the past. Obviously adjust time accordingly. But so I've already seared the chicken, and now as you can see, I'm kind of just sauteing off some carrots, some celery, some onion in the oil that was left over from the chicken and all of that chicken goodness that got left in the pan. I'm adding in some bouillon. I prefer to use bouillon instead of using a box stock. It just takes up a lot less space in my tiny kitchen, which we like. You could use whatever. You could use homemade stock if you have it. I don't have any on hand right now. So instead of mixing it with the water separately, I like to do it just in the pot. So I add it in, I give it a little stir, and then I add the water to the pot and mix it that way. That's my preference. You could follow the instructions and, add it to hot water and mix it off to the side, but this works for me. I've never had any issues with it, and it's one less thing to do. So we add that in, we add the chicken in, and you would just want to make sure that you really get the chicken under the water level. So kind of push it around, shimmy it in there, and all of that goodness. Okay. And then we're going to put this in the oven at 350 for, like I said, 2 to 3 hours. So I will check it at 2 hours and see where we're at, see how it's looking, if it's reached temp and all that, because this chicken is not fully cooked yet. This has just been seared. So lid on, in the oven, again I think I actually set it for 3 hours, the timer for 3 hours, and I pulled it out early. So that's chicken. On to the breakfast burritos. Who doesn't love a breakfast burrito? These are clutch in our household. So one, I'm really bad at eating breakfast. I always have been. So having these on hand means that I'm much more likely to actually eat a breakfast and not just drink coffee for breakfast. So they're great. They come in really handy, even sometimes for dinners for us. If we just need a quick dinner or lunches on the weekend, whatever it is, we love having these in our freezer. So trying something new with them. Normally I do cubed roasted potatoes. Today I'm doing hash browns. One, because I've got that chicken in the oven and I didn't want to take more time to roast the potatoes off in the oven. 2, who doesn't love a hash brown? And 3, I wanted to try the waffle hash brown, the waffle maker hash brown. So you spend any amount of time on Pinterest, I'm sure you have seen this, and I was just so curious to know, is it a novelty or does it really work? So I shredded up these potatoes in my food processor because that is the fastest way to shred things. And now I'm just squeezing out the liquid, making sure that they're really dry so they will get nice and crispy. I made a mistake here. In a little bit, you will see me shred an onion into the potatoes. I should not have done that. Well, at least not in this order. The onion added to the potato, delicious, but I should have shredded the onion in before I squeezed out the water from the potatoes, because the onion does add a little bit more water back in, but we live and we learn, you know? So shredding in an onion, and then we're gonna add some seasonings, salt, obviously, paprika, one of my all-time favorite spices, going in as well. Cracked pepper, I think, salt, garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, because I only used half an onion, just what was left over from the braised chicken that I did. So all of that getting mixed in and going in to the deliciousness that is the potatoes. And then we're going to test out this waffle maker, and I will share my thoughts on that when we get there. Okay, so we've got our potatoes. They've been seasoned. We got our waffle maker, spritzing it with a little oil to see how that goes. So a couple things here. One, I should have re-squeezed out the potatoes before I put them in the waffle maker, just to make that extra step that they were very, very dry. Second, overall, I liked this technique because it takes about 5 minutes once you get the potatoes in, or more, to get them to a cooked point. So that was super helpful to stop what I was doing, let the potatoes cook, and go do something else. But I didn't find the perfect ratio of potato in the waffle maker. So the first one I did didn't have enough potato. Then I went back to the recipe that I was using as a guide, and they mentioned to like really pack it in there, like almost overstuff it. So I tried that, but I think that was too much for me, because I want kind of an even ratio of crispy outside to soft inside, and that was just not the right ratio for me. So I definitely think I will try it again and see if I can find the perfect ratio of potato to waffle maker to get that kind of deliciousness, because it was super easy and helpful when you're trying to multitask. But and when you're trying to make a big batch like this, when you're doing meal planning, don't know that I would recommend this technique for like if you're just having, you know, pancakes and hash browns on a Saturday morning, you know, just do them the old-fashioned way then. But I was curious to try it. I'm glad that I did. We might try it again another time during a meal prep, see if we can figure out that right ratio, or if we're just gonna, you know, keep doing hash browns the old-fashioned way. But that's the potato portion of our breakfast burrito. So now we're gonna get to the eggs. A lot of eggs happening here. I believe I did 24 eggs for this. Like I said, I like to do a lot of them at one time so that we have them for a few weeks, and not just like a week's worth of burritos. So melting some butter in the pan, then we're gonna go in with our eggs. Low and slow, baby. Low and slow is the key to those fluffy, delicious eggs like your grandma used to make. So letting this butter melt, then we'll go in with the eggs, and you'll see here that it takes a minute before it seems like the eggs are really cooking. Keep stirring, do not stop, do not just like wait for them to cook on the bottom and then scrape the bottom off. That is how you get dry scrambled eggs. So low and slow, be patient. The eggs will start to cook, they will start to scramble, and when we get to that point, I'm gonna come back with my secret scrambled egg weapon. Okay, our eggs are looking good. They're scrambling up nicely. They're almost completely set. Now it's time for my secret weapon, Tillamook veggie cream cheese. When I tell you the disappointment on Angel's face the one day that we were out of this cream cheese and I made scrambled eggs, he found out that there was no veggie cream cheese in the eggs. It was heartbreak because it's so good. This man took one bite and was like, what's different about the eggs today? So trust me when I say this, try it. Try it once. Even if you don't like cream cheese, like on a bagel or anything, trust me, try this. Tillamook veggie cream cheese, throw it in at the end here when they're almost completely set. I'm using one of the whole small tubs, but again, I have 24 eggs here, so may seem like a lot, but we got a lot of eggs happening. So toss it in and then keep stirring and let that cheese melt into the eggs, and it adds such a delicious like flavor from the veggies, but then a creaminess, and it's so good. So trust me on this one. Listen to your breakfast burrito guide. Veggie cream cheese and your scrambled eggs. Even if you're not making breakfast burritos, if you're just making scrambled eggs, veggie cream cheese. It's a game changer, y'all. It is a game changer. Okay, eggs are scrambled. We're gonna set them to the side and let them cool. The key to a good breakfast burrito is to let everything cool a little bit before you roll them. Otherwise, when they get into the freezer, you have all that extra moisture from the heat and the steam, from the shock of going from hot on the stove to cold in the freezer, that makes things soggy. So let everything cool a little bit. We're gonna do some other stuff while we wait for that. So, okay, while we are waiting for our eggs to cool and our hash browns to finish cooking, we're gonna move on to the next thing, which is just prepping some veggies. I got this cauliflower on the 99-cent rack at my grocery store. They have this kind of sale rack for produce that's less desirable. Things like bananas that have started to brown. This had a little brown spot on it, but like nothing to be overly concerned about. Like I just cut it off and it was fine. Things like that. So I love that my grocery store has that section. I think it's so great. So they have this cauliflower, so I grabbed it because I love just snacking on cauliflower. So I'm just gonna cut it up here, give it a good rinse, throw it in a plastic bag, and that will be that. And then after that, I'm going to slice up some celery that I had. So I had celery on hand. I mean, I almost always have carrots, onions, and celery on hand, but I had it ready for the chicken, and if I'm not doing like a chicken or like something like the braised chicken or a soup or anything like that, I mostly just snack on it raw. So instead of leaving it in the bag and having to cut it up every time I wanted a snack, or maybe not reaching for the celery because the pretzels were easier to get to, we're gonna slice it up and just bite-sized pieces. I'm gonna save the leaves and the top stalks for some other use if I make vegetable stock, or if I decide to make a soup or something like that. I'll use those pieces, and then I will fill the container with just the normal slices with water, put that in the fridge, and now I have cauliflower and celery on hand to use for my lunches, for anything else we may eat, and the prep work is all done for me. So this is how I like to fill my time when I'm prepping if I don't have something else I need to be doing, or if I just want to have cut of veggies on hand for the week. So we're always multitasking here. Gotta layer it all in so that you can get everything done and complete by the time that you want to sit down. I think all told, this prep took me 3.5 hours or so. Okay, our eggs are done and they are cooled. Our hash browns are done and they have cooled. And I've got some veggie sausage, which I didn't show, but I just threw it in the oven for a little bit to warm it up and get it so I could slice it for the burritos. And then I shredded some cheese as well. So here is how I do my breakfast burritos. Again, you can swap out these ingredients, or if you don't want potato, if you don't want veggie sausage, if you don't want cheese, whatever it is, but we love them. So tortilla, this foil looks a little rough, and that's because I save the foil. Every time I heat one up, I flatten it back out and fold it up, and I save it, and until it's reached the point where it is ripping and absolutely unusable, then I recycle it. But in the meantime, Like, we go through a lot of breakfast burritos. It would be a lot of foil if I weren't saving these things. At this point, these squares of foil have been used at least 4 times, so it will last. Just hang on to it and then recycle it when you're done, because it's aluminum and it can get recycled so often. So I kind of, the first time I did this, obviously I'm using, but I lay out all my sheets of foil and then I put a tortilla on top, a little bit of egg, a little bit of potato, a little bit of veggie sausage, some cheese on top, and then you channel your inner Chipotle worker and you roll that thing up. So this takes a little bit to get used to and find your rhythm, but you'll get there. I believe in you. Come to the breakfast burrito prep side. It's so delicious. So yeah, and then I roll them up into the foil, and then I put them, I actually have an empty baggie right here. I put them in a baggie that are labeled breakfast burrito, and then because I make 2 different kinds, some with veggie sausage and some without, I label the bag, so egg, potato, cheese. So that way Angel knows which ones have the veggie sausage and which ones do not. So we're gonna roll all those up, we're gonna put them in some freezer bags, and we're gonna get them in the freezer for later. All right, breakfast burritos are done. Veggies are prepped. Chicken is done. Like I said, I pulled this out early, so I pulled this out at the 2-hour mark, and you can see here I'm just temping it with a thermometer to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. I stab a couple different pieces in a couple different places just to make sure that everything is cooked all the way through. And then I'm just gonna leave this to set out for a little bit to cool down, and then I will put it in containers and get it in the fridge for Angel. So chicken's done, burritos are done, veggies are done, muffin time. So super easy, quick recipe for muffins here. I wanted something with a little pumpkin because I had some to use, and I wanted something with a little oat flavor because fall has arrived and all I want to eat is oatmeal all of the time. I don't know what it is about fall that triggers this like intense oatmeal craving in me. I do not have it any other time of year, but the beginning of fall, and then I get like a little bit of a resurgence in winter. I just love oatmeal. So I wanted to do some pumpkin oatmeal muffins. These were super easy to throw together here and then pop in the oven for their time and while I finish cleaned up. So again, this is a great kind of last thing to have because all my other food is prepped and ready to go. I'm putting these in the oven for 20 minutes, which gives me 20 minutes to get the kitchen back under control, get the dishwasher loaded, all of that. So by the time that these came out, I was completely done with my meal prep for the week. Couple caveats to that. All of the dinners that I planned for this week were either like a 30-minute or less type situation or a freezer meal. So I didn't have any dinner prep involved to this. I had a number of leftovers in the fridge already for my lunches, so there's no prep for my lunches this week. Also, it's just my partner and I, so we're not prepping, kid lunches or things. I work from home, so I don't have to pack a lunch, which is why I focus mostly on having something packed and ready to go for Angel. And yeah, so your meal prepping might look a little different. It might take you a little longer, but let me know how I can help you because I really love meal prepping and I really love talking to people about meal prepping. And I also am very nerdy in the way that I like to figure out, okay, here's all the things I want to make. Now, what's the perfect order in which to make them so that you're utilizing your time? So again, while the chicken is in the oven for 2 hours, I can do everything else that doesn't need the oven. And then when that comes out, I'll put the last thing in the oven and then I'll clean the kitchen. And it's been 3.5 hours and we are done and ready to sit down and enjoy relaxing the weekend away. So let's finish up these muffins and I will be back to show you one of the lunches that I did utilizing some previous preps. back. It's a different day, but it's the same me. I mean, today's the same day, but the video is a different day. Am I destroying the illusion too much for you? Anyways, here we are. These are one of my lunches. So I made some white beans last week for a soup and some other things that I made, and I have some left over still. So what I'm gonna do here is make a tuna white bean salad for an open face sandwich, and it is so good. And I'm a little bit sad that I only discovered the combo of white bean and tuna in my late adulthood, because it's such a good combo. If you've never tried it, if you like, you know, like cannellini beans or other white beans, and you like tuna, trust me when I say it's such a good combo. So 1 can of tuna. I'm chopping up some celery from the celery prep that I did before to throw in here for that little bit of crunch factor, so it's not too mushy with, you know, the beans and the tuna. And we'll throw that in there. I also got to harvest some arugula from the garden to use for the first time. Not to use for the first time. I snack on it a lot when I'm out there, but like to show you that I'm using it for the first time. So we'll get there though. I'm ahead of myself. Calm down, Jennifer. All right, we've got our tuna. We've got our celery. We're gonna add in some spoonfuls of white beans here. This is my favorite way to do white beans because they're good in so many uses. And I prep them from dry a lot of the time. They're one of the fastest dry beans to cook. So if you're intimidated by dry beans, cannellini beans are the way to go. So these are just simmered in some vegetables, well, not even vegetable stock, just water, the beans, a little sage from the garden, a little rosemary from the garden, a little thyme from the garden, because it is the best herb. Some garlic. What else? I think that's about it. And you just let that simmer and cook, and it gets so good. So throw that in. I'm gonna add a little bit of mayonnaise here for some added extra creaminess, but you don't need a ton. If you tend to like a dry tuna salad, you might be okay without the mayonnaise, so you could just mix it up with just the beans and see. I like a little bit moister tuna, so a little bit of mayonnaise to kind of help, but the beans do kind of add some of that creaminess, which is what makes it oh so delicious. So mixing this up, give it a taste, add a little bit of salt if it needs it. You could add pepper if you wanted. You could add any plethora of spices at this point. Whatever makes your heart happy, throw it in. And then we're going to take a lovely toasted slice of bread. When I toast my bread, I like to make one side a little bit toastier than the other so that when you bite in, you still kind of hit soft bread and crunchy bread. Is the best of both worlds, and you don't tear. You know when you eat toast that's too toasty and you like tear up the roof of your mouth because it's too crunchy? Is this just a me thing? I hope it's not. So I like to have one side a little bit softer so you don't have that kind of harsh crunchy bread experience, but you still get the toasty, crunchy underside, okay? There's a lot of people out there right now probably questioning, am I okay? But just trust me on everything I have said so far. Cream cheese in your eggs, you know, slightly more toasty on one side toast. Believe me. Anyways, so a little bit more mayonnaise here on the toast. You could omit this if you would like. You could add mustard if you wanted. Whatever makes your heart happy. Follow that always. Then we're going to add our arugula. And then we're going to add some pickles that I made. So these are a fridge pickle that I made earlier in the year. It was a like Clausen dill pickle dupe recipe. It was like just off for me. It had a lot of cinnamon in it. I trusted the recipe because we love a Clausen dill pickle. It was too much cinnamon for me. So I actually had to empty it out, and I refilled with more vinegar, water solution, and more dill to see if we could kind of dissipate that cinnamon flavor, and it worked. So these pretty good, but they're not my favorite, but we're working it out. When it comes to this in a sandwich, you can't really tell, but someday I'll find the perfect pickle recipe. If you have a pickle recipe, fridge or canned, that you love beyond all belief and think it is superior to every pickle out there. Please let me know what it is. And then we're just piling the tuna on top of that. And then I also have some pickled onions that look a little sad because they've been pickled for a while. Theirs are not just brand new pickled onions. So they've lost a little bit of that beautiful bright pink vibrancy, but they are still delicious. So throw those on top and we have ourselves a delicious open face tuna white beet sandwich that I kind of want to make another one right now. It's so good. All right. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you like this format, if you like seeing this, if you would prefer a hybrid video in the future, kind of showing my planning before I get into the kitchen to prep and then when I'm in the kitchen prepping, or just anything in general. I would love to hear what you guys think and what would be helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. For now, I will bid you adieu and I will see you later in our next video. Thanks for watching.